Hey, everybody. Super excited for this chat today with Gotti from Replicant AI. Gotti, how are you?
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Conversational AI and automation are such hot topics, and I know you're extremely busy with customers and partners these days. So let's dive right in and introduce yourself. And who is Replicant?
So myself, let's start with the easy part. I know myself pretty well. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Replicant, and I spent the last 20 some years in enterprise software, mostly in startup, but sometimes in large companies like SAP and Adobe. But the last 9 years I spent in the customer service space. I was a chief operating officer of Talkdesk, from seed to a unicorn. Now it's a $10 billion company and a market leader in the contact center as a service space. And a lot of my work at Talkdesk led me to start Replicant, which is focused on using AI to resolve customer service calls, also chats and SMS, but mainly calls at scale for contact centers.
Well, it's an amazing mission and so needed today, as anyone who's a consumer knows. So your approach is to resolve customer service issues rather than deflect them. So what's the philosophy here before we get into the tech?
Yeah, let's start with deflection. One of the ways I challenge customer service leaders that use the word deflection a lot is, would you go in front of your entire customers and say, our strategy is to deflect you? And people say, of course not. So how do you have a strategy which is core to your business that you cannot say in front of your customers or repeat in front of your customers? I think it explains exactly why deflection is wrong. The idea behind deflection is we build all these other options for you, dear customer. You must have not noticed them. You must not know we have a website. You must not know you can self-serve to solve these issues. And people do know. Sometimes they choose to call because they're just happy to drive or have their hands busy. Sometimes because they try to use self-service and failed. There's many reasons. If someone calls you, don't deflect them. You get a unique opportunity to interact with a customer. And what customers really want when they call you is, again, think of it from the perspective of the customer, from first principles. What do the customer want? They don't want a pat on the back. They want to listen to an IVR. They want a resolution. No one want to call customer service. It's not something that we do as, oh, I can't wait to call customer service. No one want to do that. So assuming if they call you, they want a resolution. And that's what we're focusing on. And if we can resolve this issue right away without an agent, instead of a customer waiting 5 to half an hour to talk with an agent, and then maybe another 10, 15 minutes with an agent and maybe handle around between different agents, imagine they can get this issue solved in 5 minutes. What a radically different customer experience it is.
Indeed, that is the dream. Well, let's talk about where you fit in the very busy and complex contact center CX landscape. There are many tech stacks out there, as you know, from IVR to CCaaS to CRM systems, legacy solutions, and telephony. How much was it a challenge to integrate into this whole world as a relatively new player and to create, a versatile, system?
Yeah, and I have the benefit of having some of the insights I had from Talkdesk. We lived in Talkdesk in this complex environment where we had to integrate to CRMs, internal systems, and sometimes other telephony systems in order to work well. So I came into it with clear understanding what we need to do in order to be successful. It's interesting to answer first why we need to integrate to everything, because it's not trivial. Because our focus is resolution, we don't have fingers, so we cannot type into internal systems. We must integrate to everything the agent have access to. Now, here's a crazy stat. The average agent have 8 different tabs that they have to access in a call, between the call center solution, a CRM, and then a variety of internal systems. Sometimes they have another Google Maps or some commercial system they need. Of course, they have email and Slack. So a typical agent will work with multiple internal systems and external systems in order to deliver a solution. And we have to have the same access so we can resolve the same issue. Because if we, for example, run a roadside assistant call, which we do at scale tens of thousands of times a day, without knowing that you're a member of AAA, which we can only validate if we access the CRM, usually Salesforce, without integrating to your telephony. So we can bring in an agent if you have a safety issue that we want a human attention on. And if you can't integrate to the dispatch system, so we can actually send you the right service vehicle and tell you when the service vehicle is going to be sent to you, and of course add geolocations and some other integrations, we cannot finish the call. So we have to build all those integrations in order to provide true resolution. We don't have it if we just want to deflect. In this case, we just say, have you known that you can go to a website? Again, not our philosophy, and luckily enough, not our customers' philosophy. So we had to build all of it. And I would just say it's a technical challenge, but it's not an intractable challenge. The challenge is that the systems in customer service, some of them are modern and easy to integrate to. Salesforce is a great example. Some of them can be an SAP solution that was last updated in 2005. And I've been at SAP 2005. This was almost 20 years ago. And it's a true case. We integrate using SOAP APIs. Last time I integrated using SOAP APIs was in 2000. But again, some of this old system are still there. And it's so expensive to replace them that what we do is we allow customers to, in a way, bypass the limitations of the systems, including their clunky UIs, by just talking with them to them directly and resolving issues without necessarily involving an agent.
I love it. One of your bold claims is also you cut the cost per contact by 50%. Now that's a pretty bold claim. So how do you reach that level of efficiency?
It required me to take a step back and actually explain how your problem is being solved in the customer service center. Because it's often, we call them all the time. We understand as a person out there to solve the issue, but I don't think too many people understand the type of work you do. When you work in a customer service center, you're typically either at home or in a large contact center, and you take anything between 40 to 80 calls a day, trying to resolve mostly the same issues. It's a repetitive, boring job. Which leads to one of the highest attrition rates of any job in the world. The average agent is staying in their job less than 1 year. Actually, if you look at the statistics, labor statistics, there are jobs that you think are less attractive, like collecting garbage in the street, and people and the retention there is about 2 years. So it's definitely not a great job, and this is why contact centers suffer from this issue that they have to constantly recruit new people. Train them. It sometimes take up to a month, and then in some cases, these people stay for 6 months only before they move on. So by the time you spend money on recruiting and training and put this person in place, some of them will leave after 3 months, some of them will leave after a year and a half. But the average in the call center will be less than a year. So the cost of delivering customer service is very high because of that, because you have to constantly train, retain, schedule, etc. The other challenge is that you cannot schedule agents in a way that you schedule anything else. If most of your customers call at between 8 to 9 a.m., you have to have enough agents per this time to support them, even if after 9, the calls drop to 10% of what they used to be before. So scheduling and staffing makes it easier, make it harder to create efficiency. So it leads to the fact that a minute of an agent can cost, when you fully load everything on it, $1, $1.50. And some of this time is very viable. If you're now, and we have an airline customer, for example, and if you get to this airline customer service agent at midnight when your flight got canceled and you're 2 parents and 3 young kids, that's a complex problem, and it's worth paying an agent again this fully loaded $1.50 a minute to resolve this issue. But if all you want to do is choose a seat or check in luggage or check if your flight is on time, that's a waste of time and money. And AI just does it much more efficiently than humans. Our cost per minute is much lower, and we actually finish calls in half the time agents do, because we don't have to work with clunky APIs, because we're much more focused. So this creates this net saving for our customers, especially when they choose the type of calls that tend to be repetitive, boring for the agents. They do them in their sleep, which means they're not really effective doing them, compared to this, again, very complex, multifaceted problem of let's find a hotel room in somewhere in Florida at midnight for this family of 5.
Yes, we've all been there at one time or another. And so you need to balance, though, do you not, the quality of those customer interactions at scale against the need to have no wait time and 24/7 availability, at least the promise of that. How do you balance that and keep that interaction quality high consistently?
Yeah, but that's exactly some of the ingredients that come into automation. There's no
Mhm,
wait time compared to an agent.
mhm,
It's actually also creates a better situation when we need to transfer a call to an agent, because
mhm,
if now we deal with all this mundane calls, agents are
mhm,
more available to the one that are more complex and requires either empathy or human intuition or human creativity. So what we've done from the beginning is design our thinking machine to be very conversational. We tell you in advance that you're speaking with a machine. We're not pretending it's a
mhm,
human. We don't call it any cutesy name. There's not this agents pretend that hey, it's Anna or Melissa or whatever the name is. So we tell you who we are, and we tell you we're going to be very effective solving your problem. But at the same time, if we're not, I stay with an emergency roadside service call. This is a very stressful call, and in most cases, it's much better for the customer that is, say, locked out of their vehicle to get a tow truck sent to them after 5 minutes, because they didn't have to wait for an agent, and the call was very short. So instead of waiting 20 minutes for an agent to answer and then spend 10 minutes with the agent and then get a tow truck, it's much better for them to get an answer right away. In 5 minutes, get a tow truck. It's shorter than the time they stand out in the cold. But if we ask you, hey, do you have a pet or toddler in a vehicle? And surprisingly, some people say yes, I do have a pet locked in a vehicle. I do have a toddler, and it's now Toronto in January. Temperature is
mm,
10 degrees. We'll pass you to an agent, but we're going to put you at top of the queue, and an agent will answer right away. So
mm,
the quality that you're going to get out of it is much higher, because even if we cannot solve the issue, we can make sure you get prioritized based on the actual situation. Now, of course, you cannot do it without automation, because if you'd ask every customer, is your issue urgent? Everybody will say yes.
mm.
So you have to
Press
be
9
smart about
if
that.
your message is urgent. I love that one. Yeah.
Yes, if your message are press two, of course everybody's going to press two. So what we do is we screen for urgency indirectly or directly during the call, and then we make sure that agents get these calls right away without wait time. So if you think of the experience, the before and after here, you either waited for 20, 30 minutes to speak with an agent and then got service from a really friendly, great person. AAA hires some of the best customer service agents out there, or you got, in most cases, a solution from a machine right away with no wait. But if you need an agent that just right there with no wait, that's a much better experience. And what we see is that most of our customers report higher customer satisfaction score after they use Replicant compared to lower. And you'd be surprised that they see higher agent satisfaction score. Because I tell you what the agent don't fight for. They don't fight to take one more mundane call they can do in their sleep. They fight to do more of the complicated, interesting
Mm.
calls. So we also see agent turnover decrease, agent satisfaction decrease. We even had one customer reported that agent short-term disability claims, so when they cannot
Wow.
work for a couple of weeks, decline 80% just because of reduced pressure after deploying Replicant.
That is phenomenal. So that kind of leads into your website. I looked at this number. You've automated 45 million conversations with an 85% success rate. That looks phenomenal. But how do you measure success in that context?
That's a great question, and we struggle through it because customers at the beginning ask us what will be my success rate and what's a
Mm,
good success rate, and we used to always say it's dependent on your use case, because we have calls where we always have to transfer to an agent, but we always take a significant portion of the call before we do so. So what we end up agreeing with customers is on a term we call expected business outcome. What is the
mm,
success rate if for all the outcomes that we could solve, either because the customer wanted us to solve it, um, so an example of the AAA situation, if there's a safety issue and we pass it to an agent, we still think of it as a resolution because we've done what was expected in this case. If a customer vehicle if they have a flat tire in an underground garage where we are not sure a tow truck can actually fit, or even the truck will actually fit, we pass it to an agent, it's still a success. And of course, it's still a success when we fully resolve the issue, which we do in this case, and depend on the weather, surprisingly, in sometime up to 60% of the time. So we look at success as full success, an agent was not involved, plus all the cases where we were asked by or by design, we had to transfer the call to an agent. So the margin, the 15%, are people that said agent right away and would
Hmm.
not wait for us to resolve it. Or cases where we failed to solve a problem because we did not know we did not understand a customer, or they spoke incoherently, or whatever the reason is. That's the 15%.
Well, it's a pretty impressive approach. It wouldn't be a tech chat if we didn't talk about generative AI.
Yeah.
I just see, I'm looking at a webinar here. You talk about combining generative AI with customer data. That looks fascinating. Give us a peek into how that works.
Yeah, that's again. Let's dive a little bit into generative AI and the revolution it creates for us. So when we start Replicant, there was this were the first days of transformers, and if you know
Hmm.
ChatGPT, the T comes from transformer. So the same exact models that ChatGPT was built on, we used to build our own solution internally. Now, what we had to do with these models, they were great language models, but they didn't understand anything. It's like, imagine me going into a lab with 5 PhDs in genetics, and they talk to me, and I understand the English they're speaking, but I don't understand a word they're saying. That's about how this previous generation of AI was. You have to teach it everything about the world so it can perform. So, if, again, sticking with the roadside assistant, just to stay consistent, there are hundreds of ways people can talk about car issues, and these car issues can be classified in dozens of different ways, from flat tires to locksmith issues, to mechanical issues, to tow truck issues. But there's no consistent way to describe the issue. So we have to build models that understand how everyone, despite actually their nationality, speak about car issues. Canadians say that they need a boost when their car would not start, and American will say we need a jump start. So there's different ways to even describe the same exact problem. So we have to go and teach our models context for every single use case we have provided. And we've done it successfully, but then there's always edge cases and long tail.
Hmm.
We cannot do that. An example will be, if I ask you for a hotel reservation, which is one of the customers we serve, how many adults are coming to or are part of your reservation or your party, and you say 4, that's really easy. We hear, even if you say 4 people are going to come with me, it's really easy. There's no training you need to do for that. It's pretty easy to recognize this intent. But if you say, let me think, it's going to be me, my mother-in-law, my husband, and my sister, that's still 4. But now imagine that we had to go and train a model to understand family relationships. It's happened so infrequently that we never bother to do that. And this will be the case where a call will go to an agent, where a human brain is able to do it. Maybe annoying, but whatever. I have to count how many adults are coming, but I can do that. What LLMs do is they come pre-built with knowledge of the world. So for an LLM, we can ask you, hey, take this string and tell me how many adults are here. And you're going to say 4 really quickly, because you understand what a sister to an adult, what's a husband, etc. You can make all these assumptions. So that created an ability for us to have much more flexible conversation design. We don't have to ask you things in a more dogmatic way, because you can just answer the way you'd answer to a friend. And we can actually solve it faster than an agent, because counting 4 people based on this will be hard even for a human. You have to stop and concentrate. The machine will just do it in its sleep. So that's part of the revolution that LLMs create and generative AI create. But also, if you think of the generative part of it, we have not generated answers. All our answers to date were predetermined. So we'll understand what you ask, and we have a predetermined answer. This was very effective and made sure that we never go off script, which customers like. But if you have a really complex knowledge base, and people can ask hundreds, if not thousands, of questions, it's creates a limitation. We can only automate what we think of as the frequently asked questions, but not all questions. Now with generative AI, we can generate an answer on the fly. So we can, as long as we have access to your knowledge base, we can infer a right answer from any one of the questions. But also, because we have customer data, we can use statistical models to know that this is more likely to be the right answer. Because as you understand, I'm sure you heard about, we don't want AI to hallucinate. Generative AI tend to sometimes just make up a story. We want to make sure the story is the correct story, and we do it by using previous data to ensure that the answer actually meets the criteria and is statistically plausible.
Brilliant. I love it. So you've received a lot of recognition and awards and reviews. Phenomenal. Congratulations on that. What's been the secret there? What's been your secret sauce so far at Replicant?
Yeah, so first of all, I'll say I'm really only proud of review of recognition that come from our customers.
Mm.
I tend to be snobbish about that, and it's really nice when Alice or press decide that you're a cool company this or next 100 companies in AI, and it's always great to see. What I'm proud of the most is if you go to some of these objective review sites like
Mm.
G2, our average rating is 4.8. And it's
Yes.
been really consistently. If you look at our NPS, it's 65. It's top 1% of NPS scores for tech company. It's objectively one of the highest net promoter score you can get. So that's a recognition I'm most excited about. And if you ask what's the secret, there's really none. It's one is that we all understand without having a company value, we all understand we exist to serve our customers. It's really nice to have values like customer centric, but can any company be not customer centric? Like, what's the point of
Yes, I think
even?
they can. I've talked
It's
to many
true.
of them.
Yeah, it is true, but I don't think that anybody build a company, a startup, and think of it as we'll be successful despite our customers.
Yeah,
So
I understand. I'm
we
kidding.
implicitly believe in that, and I think that everybody's behind this goal. But we actually built a pretty good integrated system from building a really good technology, but also really good delivery teams
Mm.
that make sure this technology is implemented the right way. We invested a lot in conversation design. There are ways to you can actually run the same thinking machine with the same technology and use case, and do it really poorly if you design a conversation one way and very well if you design it the other way. It's a little bit like user experience in a website. Go to
Right.
two e-commerce website. One of them is how is anybody converting? The same exact thing happening in conversations.
Interesting. Yeah, great insight there. So you must have a lot on your plate, a lot on your roadmap, including on the business side. What are you excited about that you can talk about? Partnerships or features or other things you have in the pipeline?
I'm mostly excited about what we are now able to do with generative AI.
Mm.
It's really exciting to be in a world in which the technology we used 4 years ago is already, it's not obsolete, of course. It's still super helpful. We use
Mhm.
it in many cases, but there's such a leap in technology that we can leverage. It doesn't really happen that often. If you think of um, you know, web solutions or mobile solutions, once you were in a web, there were incremental improvement in UI technology or hosting, but there was no big bang, neither in mobile or in web solutions. It's a big bang moment where something massive happened. And what's nice about that is that it doesn't create new opportunities as much as it allows us to accelerate our roadmap significantly. So
Mm.
thinking about designing one of the thinking machines. In the older days, what we were able to offer our customers was, okay, here's let's start building flows and design them on screen, and there's a bit of this flow chart that describe the conversation, and you have to painstakingly build it for all options. Now you can start. We're now working on a solution we can type what the bot need to do, and
Wow.
use basic information, and we'll create the thinking machine for you just from a description. That's exciting and really rethink the way you do self-service and how fast you can go to market with a new deployment. I'm really excited about the resolution rates we're getting. We deployed generative AI for our first customers over the last few months, and we see up to 10% increase in resolution rate, which is massive, and change the ROI quite dramatically. And we're excited about other use cases, from call summary to being more helpful in the contact center. So a lot of what we do now is asking ourselves, where generative AI fit in our roadmap that we can accelerate our vision. There's just so many opportunities there, in addition to the work we do with our current models, because they're still super helpful in many tasks that generative AI is not better at, like collecting information or serial numbers or any of the other complex issues.
Well, so exciting, so much opportunity. Congratulations on what you're doing, and I can't wait for an update over the next few months. Thank you, Gadi, for sharing just a
Thank
quick
you, Evan.
update with my audience here. And thanks for watching, everyone. Reach out to Replicant with any questions or feedback. Very exciting times.
Thank you very much. It was rapid fire, but I think we're able to cover a lot of grounds in a short period of time. So thank you for being
We
such
did
a phenomenal
indeed.
host.